Hey, I'm Xandar, and welcome to the AuthentiX... Hey, I'm Xandar, and welcome to the AuthentiX Podcast. You're joining me right now for episode 1 of the show. It's going to feature Dalon Holland from Marvel's Cloak Dagger. We're going to dive into chatting about anime and its influence on our lives, as well as the culture around us. We're going to talk about his experiences as an actor, as well as the importance of attending film school. We're going to also just nerd out a lot, like during this whole episode. Now, I got to warn you, this is my first episode, so it's a little bit choppy. We have about 4 hours of content that I condensed into 2 hours because I suck and I screwed some stuff up. To make up for it, I'm going to be doing a giveaway. Join us on social media to find out how you can join in. It's going to be a $100 AMC gift card or whatever theater is near you. Join the giveaway so that way you don't miss this opportunity to accept my apology. I desperately need it. But anyways, I'm going to stop talking so that way you can get on to the episode where you'll be listening to me talking. I didn't script this. Good though. Yeah.
Adjustments.
Oh yeah, I'm probably gonna fuck around with this. So if it looks really bad when it comes out, I need everybody to tell me it looks terrible. So next time we record, we could do better. By the way, dude, I never did like any kind of introduction or anything.
Oh,
so thank you, dude, for having me, on your show.
Wait, what?
It's like we've been drinking that much. No, dude, seriously, thank you for coming. Thank you for sitting down and chatting. I love nerding out with you, man.
Thanks for having me as a guest. Yeah, same. Ditto. So,
it's fun stuff, man.
I mean, we've gone over what Dragon Ball, a little bit of Bleach.
Yeah.
Anime in general.
I love anime.
I'll be honest, I fear the anime flashback though.
Oh yeah?
Because 9 times out of 10, if there's a fight and somebody gets a flashback,
they're gonna die.
Gone. This is it. Like, this your last hoorah.
That was definitely the case with Bleach.
Oh, every time.
100%.
It tracks with Naruto. It tracks with Bleach. Yeah, you get a flashback, you're over.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so true.
Oh,
you just know the death is coming.
Yeah, like, even like Full Metal. Like, brother, like, soon Roy got, or not Roy, fuck, my bad. Hughes got that flashback in the phone book. Like, fuck.
Yep.
Kill him.
That's still, I remember watching that episode for the first time and I was bawling.
Yo, I still like.
I was like, no, not Hughes. Of all the fucking characters, like.
There for the shortest time, but had such a big impact.
Yeah.
But like Full Metal, Cowboy.
Just Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah.
Have you seen Trigun?
Yes.
Oh, one of my favorites.
I don't think I finished Trigun though. I got most of it, but I didn't finish.
Dude, you gotta finish it.
I was kind of upset with Trigun after my dude died with the cross gun.
Yeah.
Look at his name.
I was about to say Monkey D. Wolfwood.
Oh, it's something like that though.
I loved the first episode they introduced him when they were like stuck in the middle of the desert on that bus with all those people, and the little girl gets kidnapped by this like ancient technology or whatever, these old machines.
Yeah,
and him and Vash, I think it was Wolfwood is his name.
Yeah, something like that.
So his whole thing, like one of the first things that he did, with Vash, is they had this like really powerful heart-to-heart moment where he was talking about like how it must be really hard for Vash because he's lonely and he doesn't fit in anywhere because he's a criminal. He's constantly being chased and all this crazy shit. And then he goes, "That's why I carry this portable confessional. You just got to put a coin in here and you can go ahead and tell me all your
anybody you want." Like, wow.
Tell me all your problems, but you got to pay. Oh my God. Anyway, sorry. I love his character, man.
Yeah, he was my favorite too of the series.
So you stopped when he died in the church?
I got a little bit further than that. Okay. It was just one of those things I couldn't really catch the time and like fell off of it because there was Gentle on demand back then with Comcast or DirecTV, but they usually didn't have Trigun on the Adult Swim section. So
that was Trigun was one of those shows I had to go back to finish.
Yeah.
Yeah. Same with Outlaw Star.
Same. That's the same with me. I got to go back and finish that one. Toonami was famous for showing them like out of order and jumping around, and you're just like, you know what?
And back then, dude, if you miss an episode,
good luck. You got to wait till the
Generation
following week or 3 a.m. or the reset. Yeah.
You have no idea how lucky you have at Gen Z. You guys are over here watching anime just anytime. You just pull it up and you're just like, yeah.
Stream it anytime, anywhere.
Yeah.
Like, what?
I had to like run back from school.
Yeah. And if you're watching it online, come back in 3 hours when the video fully loads. It's going to take you forever.
And it's like the worst possible quality you can imagine.
Completely. It's jumping around. It's got a buffer still. You're like, dude, it's been sitting here for an hour and a half. Why is it still buffering?
Yeah.
And then don't get a phone call.
Oh, God.
There goes that hour and a half of time wasted.
Gone.
You got 10 minutes into your episode.
I couldn't even. When I was growing up, we still had that dial-up internet.
Yep.
Or whatever it was, where like you had to choose whether or not you could accept phone calls or watch these. And like my parents would always be like, "We're waiting for an important call," and you're always waiting for an important call.
Like no one ever calls.
Yeah, no one ever. I caught onto it after a while. I was like, "You guys just don't want me to watch TV shows where the majority of the dialogue is." I swear to God, like I bet like parents back then were just like, "What the fuck are kids watching? Like, what are they watching?
Leave us alone. We're learning morals."
One episode at a scream.
Yes.
Do you want another sip of the?
Sure, why not?
Yeah.
Let's go for it.
I might actually grab some more ice. Help yourself. I might actually have some Toki. We're drinking Japanese whiskey. It's amazing. So this is Toki Centauri whiskey. This is like the big popular one. That's like everywhere. But I got a funny story to tell you. Actually, we'll get back to the anime, but you got to hear this. Okay, so this bottle was on sale at Bevmo.
Okay.
You buy the bottle, and you get the second bottle for 5 cents. Crazy. Okay, so here's the crazier part. The bottle itself is actually only $42. Okay. $42 to $46, depending on where you're buying it. So they marked it up to $73.99, and then gave you the I didn't even think that was allowed. I actually had
I swear it's actually illegal. I think there's a actual economic law, and if it's not bait and switch, it's something else.
And Bevmo's not a small company. Like I would not be putting this on the air if I was over exaggerating. I swear to God, this bottle was $73.99, and it literally on the thing it said first. So like the first purchase $73.99, second bottle 5 cents.
Yeah,
and that was like what they were advertising. I show up to the cash register and she's like, this isn't a part of our deal. So we walk back over there. She sees that it is. And she goes, well, I'm really confused as this bottle's coming up as only $46. It's like, oh. And we just like kind of went back and forth a little bit. She called the manager, and the manager kept trying to convince me
that it was a $70 bottle.
Not even that it was $70, but just that the math made sense. And I was just like, well, because she's like, well, with your Bevmo discount, you get $8 off. And if you put the two bottles together with the $8 off, it comes out to about $70. I was like, cool. But your advertisement says that the first bottle is whatever the market value is what it should be. And then the second bottle is 5 cents. So I kept asking her, I was like, can I just get this bottle for the price that it's supposed to be? Like, we even went on the Bevmo website. Like, they had me pull it up on the phone, and we went in there.
Yeah.
And the bottle, even on the website, was like $46.99. I was like, can I please get the first bottle for this price and the second one for 5 cents, like it says on the ad? They eventually gave it to me. So, like, thank you, Bevmo. Thank you guys so much. You guys are amazing. But don't mark up the bottle by almost double and then give me 5 cents off. That's
because
what?
Paid for it twice. It just
that makes no sense. I'm going to sell you this TV for $5,000. You get the second one free, but I'm going to charge you $10,000 for the first one, even though it's only $5.
Yeah.
Like, what?
I think Walmart does that, and they keep getting in trouble for it. And, we're having a flash sale, and like this TV is $300 off, but like right before that, they marked it up to $700 instead of $400. So when they mark it down, it's its original price.
That happens. I've been observing that for Black Friday.
Yeah,
blows my mind. And there's still entire lines of people just waiting outside stores
wrapped around the building.
I'm like, guys, there's also a Cyber Monday now.
Yeah,
you don't even have to wait in line.
Those sales don't even just go for the day anymore. They're like, they went from the day to the weekend to the full week.
Yep. Yeah, Amazon's got like a Cyber Monday week. Yeah. I didn't know Monday was a full, full week.
Man,
I just think at this point, there used to be a code when it came to this stuff. It felt like, right?
Yeah.
And now it's just, we don't care.
It's funny. Back to the mention of Japan or whatnot.
Yes.
I feel like the major difference from there to here, and like I spent a couple hours in Mexico and Tijuana, and like I've been to Canada, and like Windsor and Toronto and things like that. I don't really consider those. I'm from Michigan, so I don't consider Canada much. Yeah. But the major difference between here and Japan, or like Tokyo, just common decency.
Yeah.
Common decency and courtesy.
Well, and it kind of, I feel like it does sometimes come back to the type of media they consume, because like I'm sure Japan's got effed up stuff too that you could watch. Absolutely. Sure, but I feel like the majority of content that their kids consume, like coming back to these anime characters that you get to like grow up with, is a lot of the leads it's all about morality. It's all about looking out for your friends and looking out for your family and looking out for strangers even. Like,
doing
like
the right
how
thing.
How many times did an anime character risk their life just saving somebody they didn't even know?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like you are raised under those morals, where it feels like America tends to glorify villains.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's cool.
Everybody hates Superman, but he's really just the dude that wants to do the right thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And like the amount of critique that DC and Marvel comics superheroes get over their good deeds. Whereas a lot of anime is like, if the character knows they're doing the right thing, they're like, I don't care.
Yeah. There was one other thing I wanted to bring up about Japan. We'll get back to it.
Let's do it.
Whichever one you want to do first. I don't care.
Yeah. Let's finish up the Japan. We've been drinking, and my brain is like, so Japan.
Traveling around at 10 o'clock at night, there's like a 10-year-old on the train.
Yeah.
Couldn't have it here.
Oh, no way.
But like
there's way too many creeps.
That kid is everyone's kid. They're gonna make sure if something's wrong, if that kid's crying, or if the kid's like looking for help, they're gonna look out for him. As far as I know, like I mean, of course you have your bad seeds or your bad apples and your weird stuff everywhere.
Yeah,
but yeah, like me as an American, I'm like, what does the kid do? Where's your parent? Like, where is your guardian or parent? The police, help this child. But like no one cared. They just was like, oh, it's a kid. Yeah. Right. Make sure he gets on the train or gets on. Let him walk.
Yeah, and it's
whatever.
Even obviously maybe not like the one-offs, right? But even the criminal organizations in Japan have a code.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like ours are just like, nope, neighborhoods, whatever. They
just don't care.
Man, it's like there's been a decline in morality across the whole country and an increase of like selfishness and greed.
Yeah. But then I guess that comes back to, is it maybe the entertainment we consume?
Absolutely. I would say so.
Yeah.
I won't say it's completely the entertainment, but I will say the entertainment has a massive hand in it, unfortunately. Because in many cases, like even when we were growing up, how much more time did you often get with the TV than you did with your parents, you know? Like where you get home from school and they're like, all right, well, there's food in the microwave and I'll be home from work at 7 or 8 or whatever it may be. You get home at 3 o'clock. So you get the next 5 hours with that. They get home. You get a couple hours with your parent. Mm-hmm. Bedtime.
Yeah.
And then up for school the next day. You get the weekend. Yeah. But like,
but then even activities and stuff too. Like there was only it's not like now where you can jump on Instagram, TikTok, or any of these streaming sites and you have an infinite amount of entertainment. Like you watch what's on.
Getting there.
I just think it's you know when you let's see, how old are you right now?
33.
Okay, me too.
Yeah.
So we're both 33. Okay, so we were kids.
Think about it.
Teenagers. We'll say teenagers, right? So 15 years ago, we were in high school.
Yeah.
My math might be off. I don't know.
I mean, that's appropriate. Like 18.
Yeah.
17, 18.
So about there. Yeah. So like imagining what our world was growing up at 18.
Yeah.
And what my nephew's now 17. Mm-hmm. Imagining the world that he's growing up in. And then now think about 15 years from now. Especially at the rate technology is evolving. It's so fast.
I personally think the disconnect's astounding.
Insane.
And will be astounding because like the crazy part is we're so with the advent of the internet and phones and cell phones and tweets and whatever, we're way more connected. But with that, because it's all through screens and stuff, we're way more disconnected than we've ever been. And like with that disconnect, you don't have the, like that same emotional growth or whatever it may be, or like
that's a soundbite.
It's a lot easier to like say something to somebody online when you don't have to like deal with their face going
keyboard warriors, no consequence.
Yeah, like you could hurt somebody's feelings in real life, and like the look on their face or in their eyes sometimes is just enough to go, oh, fuck, I shouldn't have said that.
Yeah, you got to take it.
Yeah, and like when you're behind a keyboard, you don't got to do that.
No, you also don't have to take a punch to the face.
No, that as well. That as well. Like, and then it's like this mindset of like who can get the most likes or the whatever, and then you're trying to find the meanest thing to say on there because somebody said something mean and that got 10 likes, so you want 25 likes by saying the next cruel thing.
Yeah, and it's so strange how much toxicity catches fire.
Yeah,
it's like some of the stuff that goes viral the quickest are usually just somebody getting hurt or somebody being in a situation where they're wronged and then perceiving that as something funny or as like, and like I get it. If it was meant to be humorous, that's one thing.
Yeah.
But if something happened that somebody's really suffering because of it, like, ooh, that's kind of messed up.
And it's weird because it's not to say that every interaction on the internet is bad or evil, or it's just making people be more savage or anything like that. But unfortunately, it seems to be the thing that is produced the most from it. And rather that be, like we said, we were saying before, through the media steering or just how disconnected empathically we are because of the lack of actual interaction.
Like in person, just faced it, like what we're doing now.
Yeah,
that's actually a part of the reason why I'm never going to make this podcast through like virtual means. Never going to do it. Like if you live in Atlanta and you want to be on the podcast, come out to LA, because this I think is so meaningful. This in person.
Yeah,
like this goes beyond anything else that any human can ever experience. Like we would never have this kind of conversation if we were just hanging out digitally.
No, I can relate to that in the sentiment of like acting.
Yeah, with
auditions, like there's the self-tape that came about, especially during COVID. But I guess lucky enough. I had lucky enough to have a representation in Atlanta as well. So I was doing self-tapes a little bit earlier than most, but there's the difference of putting something on tape and then or going in the room. Yeah. And surprisingly, I have a ratio, I think, on book like self-tape. Like I've booked a lot of my projects through tape.
Well, it's efficient and we have the technology to do it, so it makes sense.
Like it's the benefits. There are two benefits mainly. I think was the adjustment opportunity for them to go, okay, try it this way. Can't really do that when you're sending in a tape, and you can kind of do it online via Zoom, but what you don't get through Zoom is a lot of times the energy in the room, and it's like when you're performing, like whether that be on stage or on film, there's an energy that's sent out and one that's received back from people reacting. And like whether it's a visual reaction or something, or like you can feel that in the room. Yeah. And you don't get that when you're on tape or whatnot.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah. It's
so what do you usually prefer? Like if you could have it, if say you could just be in the comfort of your own home and just bust out take after take after take and just like bulk submit auditions versus, because the other caveat of that is if you have to go in person, imagine you have like 3 auditions in one day. I mean, you don't have to imagine, I'm sure you've been there, where you have 3 auditions in one day. You gotta drive from one casting. I was gonna call it a casting couch. You gotta go from one casting house to another.
Doing my best to stay away from that type of acting.
Hey, Jackie Chan did it. You could do it too. That's not a joke, people. Look it up on the internet. Jackie Chan did porn.
Boy. He's a braver man than I'm not doing all my stunts. You know what I mean? But what makes In the Room bad is the drive, because it's LA and you're going to spend 2 hours of your day bouncing back and forth for 5 minutes just to more than likely not get it. And that sounds kind of jaded, but it's the truth of the matter.
Yeah.
But again, you got that energy in that room. I'm okay with self-tapes, but with self-tapes, you got to be your own. Like, yeah, you can have a good reader.
Yeah,
and
that's
the
a big
thing
one.
is like you want to find someone who's comfortable, who's an actor, who knows what your tape is supposed to look like. So you don't have to be in your head about, is my frame right? Is the light good? And then even still, like, they're not off book like you might be. So they're reading the script. And so, like, where's my eye line?
Yeah.
And, like, that's all stuff, you could think about, but you don't want to have to think about that. And, like, maybe the eye line thing, because that's important. But sometimes, like, I'm just in mode, and I'm just ready to do the scene. Or sometimes you don't feel like doing it. You're like, okay, this is, like, I got to reorganize my entire living room.
Yeah.
Just to do this, like, because the blue thing's over here, and so I got to move two couches or a couch and figure all this stuff out. And so you're thinking about the details sometimes, and the stuff that you would normally have to think about if you just went in the room and they had the light set up.
Yeah.
So sometimes that can take away. It's not every time, but that's, I would say, the downside. But the pro, of course, is like, shit, I don't have to deal with 2 hours of traffic. I can save my gas. There's some bonuses there.
Yeah. So it's like building the setup and getting it right on your end, not having the feedback from the room.
Casting at the time.
Not having the flexibility of like, we really like what you did here, but we want to see it like this, because they see the potential, but you just didn't say it the way they want you to, right? Or didn't deliver it with the way they wanted you to. And you're right. The reader thing is really important, because I would hope that if you're hosting a casting session, that you would bring in a reader who understands the scenes and the characters and knows to, have you been in those situations where you like showed up to an in-person casting and the reader is just flat and just
not giving anything?
Nothing.
I've had it happen a couple of times, but like, I can also understand it. How many times have you read that same exact page? And as an actor, like, I don't even, dude, 3 hours, like,
damn, 3 hours is short. They'll probably do it in that casting room all day for like 8 hours, 10 hours.
Reading the same sides for 40 people, 50, 60 people.
Yeah.
Maybe more. I don't know. Like,
should rotate readers at that. That's a really actually a good point. Because if your casting session comes later in the day, is it really fair to the actor to deal with an exhausted reader who's just totally over the day and wants to like
go home?
Yeah.
It's not all of them either, though. Sometimes they're in it the whole time, where they can mitigate themselves and they're excited about the process. But I mean, I guess that's what they hope for too, is like, I hope the next person that comes in gets me excited about the lines. Because like, if you're that actor, you have the skill to do that, even if they have been reading it with a cardboard box. Like, they've had 10 people and like 7 of them have been cardboard boxes. Maybe they had a good start, and like, you're number 8 in a row of 5 cardboard boxes, but you come in and like, where you don't just respond or read your line, you actually deliver it, and you're actually in the moment, and it will pull them into the moment with you if you do it properly. Like, if you take your time and you're like, no, we're not. Well, or just pull out the talent and drop it. And sometimes that's enough to. So
what would your preference be? Like, if they were to cut out one version of casting, would you rather the in-person casting be the thing that happens, or would you rather because it's no lie, you can definitely get through more auditions from the comfort of your own home and your own setup.
One thing that's bad about the comfort of your own home is, like I said, having to maneuver and like the full body slate.
Oh God.
Like, I don't have enough. All right, you can get a full body slate, but but you're going to see my entire apartment. Like, that's where I keep my shoes. Yeah, that's my poster. I got that at Comic-Con last year. That door right there is my bedroom. And, oh, yeah, there's my dog. So that's another thing, which...
But I've had actor buddies of mine tell me that they've had to like do auditions while they're on set for another project before, where it's like, dude, you have like a few hours to get this tape in, and you gotta like duck out and find some place to.
Yeah, I've had to do it in a hotel room. I had to like read my own line once, and they were like, "Please get a reader." I was like, "Okay, let me find someone."
There is about 50 to 70,000 people on the streets in LA now who are very hungry. So if you ever need a reader,
totally sketchy. You want to come in my apartment real quick and help me read this? One, whoever's on the street don't know who they're walking into. And two, whoever you're picking off the street, what are you about to get? Like, this is the type of play. What?
I'm not advising people do this.
Please don't. But yeah, I mean, I've had to do them, off-site. I'm kind of glad that SAG's like instituting the basic time frame now, but even still, they're like 48 hours for 5 pages or 8 pages or something like that. I'm like, dude, don't give me 8. Like, the budget shouldn't matter on how many pages an actor has to memorize.
Can you explain that a little? Because I'm not as privy to that stuff.
I don't want to incorrectly explain it, but from what I understand, depending on the budget of the project changes like the amount of time you have to get the audition in. 8 or 5, it changes by the budget, but like the budget, I don't think it should matter. Like whether you're spending $5 million to make this project or $5,000 to make this project, or paying the actor. I mean, I guess you can say, yeah, well, we're paying like if you book it, but that's if you book it. So you still have to, if you haven't booked, you still got to go through the same process of learning this dialogue. And like, how much they're paying for production doesn't change how much time I get to learn this dialogue. 5 pages is 5 pages. And like, don't get me wrong, like I'm a rise to the occasion. I'm going to study the best I can. I'm going to do my work as an actor, but like, yeah, most of us still have day jobs. Again, the details of it, I'm not sure, but like maybe placeholders. These are just placeholder numbers and values, but like, the ultra low budget, you get, 48 hours to do 5 pages. Yeah. But then like the higher budget, you get 12. And it's like, again, that's not direct hours, so don't quote me on those numbers. It's just placeholder values. But
you're trying to say is there is a difference between the turnaround time and the budget of the project.
Yeah, for the audition, apparently.
That's a weird thing to set up.
Yeah, because it doesn't, again, for the actual study time of the actor, it doesn't matter. It doesn't change anything. Like how much you're spending on this, because I'm not even getting paid for this. I'm not in your budget for this. So you're not giving me like a day off of work to actually put a full day into this. And again, most actors nowadays, especially, we all have day jobs, man.
Yeah. Well, you have to. Like, I don't know if you guys know. I mean, during the strikes, this was very predominant. But like, I know there was a lot of. I don't want to say a lot of, because now we exist in a world of social media, so information's very accessible. But there was a pretty decent push at preventing certain information from hitting the mainstream. And a big part of the information is that 87%, and this one you can quote me on because I remember, 87% of SAG actors don't even make enough money to qualify for health insurance.
I didn't qualify for health insurance. And the one time that I was going to qualify I was so pissed. The 1 year that I was like, yeah, made enough to get health insurance, they moved the fucking value up. And I was like,
come on.
When I tell you how much I was off, it was like 100 or two, or it was either $100 or $200.
God,
and they were like, good luck, buddy. What do you do? I had enough before you guys moved the finance up, and I'm only $100 off.
Yeah.
Out of like, I think it was like a 22,000 or something like that, or 25,000. It was, I don't remember the exact number, but it's like,
I think it's 27 now, but back then,
yeah, it might have been something.
So he moved it up by a couple thousand, a few thousand.
Yeah, but it's just like, come on, man, I'm off by $200, and I did the whole, and Just no insurance for me? Okay, cool.
Great. A good chunk of the world legitimately thinks that there's just two levels of actors. There's the ones that are like Tom Cruise level that make a gazillion fucking dollars a year. And then there's the ones that just work for free all the time and make no money. And like, I know that's changed a lot now, again, with social media and everything.
There's validity to it too.
it really, right? But like, there's still this like gray area of you know, if you happen to be lucky enough to land a recurring role in a TV show, you're like making enough, and you know every year for as long as that show is going on, right? You're making your money.
Yeah.
But depending on what character you're playing and how often you're on screen, depends on how much money you're getting. And again, if you, like 87% of SAG actors don't qualify for health insurance, which means they don't make more than $27,000 a year. I don't, you know, especially with inflation and everything that's going on now, that's crazy. Why would you ever want to even be an actor or work in film?
Oh, it's cruel and unusual self-punishment.
It really is.
I mean, it's...
You do it for the love.
Yeah, no, seriously. It is most definitely the love. I've had people ask me about like, oh, acting, or I was thinking about getting into it. And my first thing is only do it if you love it. Like, go for it. I will encourage anybody who wants to take that jump, that leap, go for it. But only do it if you love it. Like, because... it's going to be blood, sweat, and tears. I mean, just like anything, I guess, but I feel like it's a special level of it, especially depending on your market. And yeah, man.
Yeah, that's rough.
Only do it if you love it. If you don't absolutely love it, if you're not willing to deal with the shit, if you're not willing to like go some days and be like, I just don't have the money to do this right now, or I compare it to sometimes like having being Peter Parker, or being like having a secret identity or an alias. Like, you know what I mean? If you're not prepared to be at work and be like, oh no, like Angel Grove is in trouble, Zordon needs me, and like I gotta take lunch, or like whip out the back, run, put the suit on, take your shots, and come back and like take that risk, or be willing to like sometimes, unfortunately, like walk away, or if you don't have a job that's willing to help you, and support you,
and be like, flexible with you, and
but
well, and I think even more so, you know, I'd say it like when you really start to think about it, it gets discouraging when you think you might still put in all that work
and get nowhere. Yeah, get nowhere.
But you got to do it. There was don't quote me on this number, but I think God, this is awful. What's the guy who's playing the Hulk right now?
Oh, Mark Ruffalo.
He did something in the neighborhood of like 600 auditions before he finally got
a yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Think about that, guys. Think about
he said 300 no's to 1 yes, but I don't know if that is the exact number that he stated, or
might have been, yeah.
But
might have been.
Either way, yo. But yeah, think about that number. Like,
imagine how many. And if you guys think that successful, famous actors still don't have to audition for roles, they do. Like you're talking about like, oh yeah, it's either actually a great example would be Iron Man. Robert Downey Jr. wasn't the only actor on the table, but he's the one who walked away with the role. And in most cases, you don't really get to hear about all the actors that auditioned to play Iron Man and just never got it.
Yeah.
You know, so it's a competitive field.
Yeah.
You have to be very dedicated. You have to be flexible. You have to be in an environment that's flexible with you.
Or just be willing to put yourself on the chopping block. Yeah, I mean, it's for the love, for the passion.
Oh, actually, speaking of acting, can I just give you a plug real quick? Because I really want to talk about this.
Oh, man.
So I saw your demo reel for the first time, and I love, there's this scene, I don't know what it's from, maybe you can tell me, but there's this scene where you're sitting in a car and you're talking to somebody and you're talking about how like life always gives, it's something to the degree of like life always gives something back.
Yeah, whatever you put out.
You always get it back.
But it always comes back, yeah.
Dude, I love that scene.
That's one of my favorite, that is my favorite line, or like my favorite scene, honestly, I think, from the show. That was from Cloak and Dagger.
Okay, that was from Cloak and Dagger.
Yeah, that was That might have been my last episode. I think based off of the shirt I was wearing, that was my last episode.
Did they kill you off after? I haven't seen Cloak and Dagger. Full disclosure.
Spoiler alerts. Sure,
yeah, it's been out for a while.
Yeah, they shot me.
Ah!
Episode 6 of the first season. I did get to come back for season 2 for an episode, so that was awesome.
Was that flashbacks or how's it?
It was like a dream sequence,
okay,
kind of thing. So I got to come back for that. But I think I had a 4-episode run in the first season. But yeah, that was my favorite line.
Dude, it's so good. I saw that out of context and I got chills as what I was watching that scene. It's so good. Go look it up because I don't think I can show it on the show because it's Marvel property, but like, wow.
Yeah. Jay for writing that line, man, dude. Yeah, like that was, I was like, ooh, I was reading the scene and I'm like, yo, they spin. And it's one of those lines that was like, I didn't have to do much work with that. Like whether it,
because you feel that, you hear it, you even just hear that, or I'm sure like
hits a place. You're like,
what like, okay, so run me through that. Like, you get the script, you're looking at it, and you read this line of dialogue. What's going on in your head? Like, what could you?
I like when I'm reading things, I tend to like feel it as I'm reading it. I try to like sometimes step back and like subjectively look at it, but it's harder to stifle the emotion reading through it than it is to find the emotion. But like reading through it, yeah, it was hopefully how the moment hit while watching is how it hit when I was reading. And hopefully I was able to translate that properly and with the correct power. But yeah, like reading it, I was in that same place of being like, yo.
Yeah.
Damn, like
powerful. It's powerful and it's so real. It's so real.
Yeah. It was very real, very relevant to the time and to the culture and just everything.
Man. Yeah, because I'm sure everybody out there, and if you haven't had this experience yet, you got to live life a little bit, but like everyone can relate to that. Yeah. Everyone can go look at it and go, I put this in. And I don't know that I got back what exactly I wanted, but I got something back.
Yeah.
In life, you know what I mean? Like, damn.
It's a cliche, but I at this point, like between being on stage and like just doing auditions and whatever and scenes, blood, sweat, and tears, quite literally. Like,
tell me one time you bled.
I was in class, Breaking Through Actors Workshop. It was pre-pandemic. I was in class. I forget what scene we were doing. But we had the stage, we're facing out, and there's a back door on the stage. And so sometimes for certain scenes, we'd come in through the back door. And the scene called for me coming in kind of hot. Like it was just like, pull the door open, you go in. And the door, the little door jam thing that catches the thing front of the lock, I'm technically termed fuzzed out right now. But the little metal plate. The kick, like it's not a kick plate, but the slide plate.
Yeah.
I guess when I opened the door and went in, it was sticking out, and my hand went across it really like kind of quick and with some force, and so I cut my finger. I cut like probably somewhere in here on my finger going in, and I didn't notice. Like I didn't feel it. I didn't notice. I was like, just it's the emotional charge, you know, and so.
Talk about being in character.
Yeah, you get in it. You get lost. My acting coach used to call it. Troy Skinner, the great dude. But I went in.
Is he still doing classes?
He's in Atlanta now. But I think he's doing them off and on there. But I went in and I walked in and I guess I cut my hand and I didn't notice. And I was doing the scene. I didn't notice until I want to say I felt something like warm. Like sliding down my finger, or like I might have like gone and kind of do one of these things, and I was like, "What the fuck is that?" But then I see it, I'm like, or feel it, I just kind of keep going, and then after
you just ran with the scene?
Yeah, I just kept going. I want to say somebody might have been like, "Yo, you're bleeding." Like I think somebody that was watching had like saw it dripping from my hand and was like, "You cut yourself," and I was like, "Wait, what?" Like, oh, when did this happen? And because I remember I walked back to the door. And it was like all I did was come to the door, and like I took a look around to see how it kind of happened, and then that's when I noticed the door jam with the blood. So bloods and tears. Long story short, sorry.
No, this is great. This is what it's all about. The authentic experience on the AuthentiX podcast. That was the first plug of the show. Period. Dude, that is so cool.
Yeah.
So wow. And you just like ran through that scene. You didn't realize you fucked yourself up or nothing. How long ago? What year was this? Was this
pre-pandemic? So 2017, 2018.
Okay.
Maybe somewhere in 2017, closer, give or take a year.
Nice.
Yeah.
Man. So how long have you been acting? Like when did you actually start kind of, even if it's like little short films or something, when did you start actually?
I'll tend to like do the air quote and go professionally acting since 2012.
Okay.
2013.
When did the idea first fester itself into your mind?
1996 or 7.
Damn. So you knew you've been wanting to do this for a while.
Yeah. I don't remember exact details, but I still remember what was kind of the moment that I think it went and it clicked and I was like, ooh, that's what I want to do. That thing. What did
you think acting was back then? Like when you were watching it, did you have a perception of it that you got maybe even disappointed over, or did you have an expectation of what acting was and you just knew?
I don't think I knew. I think the moment I realized it was the moment I knew what it was, if that makes sense. Because like you watch TV shows as a kid, but you're a kid, so you don't really like make the direct separation of like these people aren't these characters kind of thing.
I thought Schwarzenegger was a real person, and every time when I was a kid,
yeah,
I thought every like time he died in a movie, I was like, fuck, we're never gonna get to see him again.
Yeah, so that's what, like you have this like different kind of understanding, and it's not until you get older, like things kind of start to
it starts to become more clear.
And so it was kind of that like should I had a V8 or like that haha moment where I was like, oh, and I think it was a blooper reel. I was watching a movie and there was a blooper reel afterwards.
Was it Rush Hour? That's when I realized movies were fake.
I don't know if it was Rush Hour. I can't remember. I'm a little bit upset. I can't remember exactly what it was now. But I remember watching the blooper reel and I was like, yo, that's not that character. These are people.
Yeah.
Well, these are people working and pretending. And then like, it's the blooper reel. So like they drop a lot and like laugh and they look like we're having a great time. And I'm like,
I want to do this for the...
Wait, they just get to fucking pretend the whole time? Like I was pretending an hour ago that I was fucking fighting power like putties in the hallway.
Yeah.
You mean I could just do that as an adult and like keep doing it?
Make a career out of it?
And so that was the kind of moment where I was like, I want to be an actor. And like, I don't even know if I knew exactly what it was at that time. It wasn't until a few years later that I had my first acting class. So my first acting class, I think I was 11. It was a summer camp. And I did not want to do it. I was like, go, you got to do something for the summer. You're going to be sitting around the house. I was like, I don't want to like, and I picked that because it sounded fun.
Is your mom going to listen to this and hear you make that?
Probably. But I mean, I'm glad I was forced to do it, to be honest. It was like this whole like summer show thing.
Well, as kids, we're always like, the thing, unless I'm playing video games or hanging out with my friends, it's a burden.
Like, I want to go ride my bike and like go explore stuff.
Okay, so she forced you with a gun to the back of your head to this acting class.
Yes, basically. Abusive belt. No, like, it's like you either go or you're grounded or whatever it may have been. But so I did it and it was fun. And like, I was kind of like, yo, okay, wait, this is that thing. And
talk about the coolest summer school project for a kid though.
Yeah, right. Go do acting and learn that kind of stuff. But I did it and I fell in love with it. Which kind of connects to another life story. I don't think it was the same summer activity because I had something like every summer, but the first time I think I got nervous and backed out of something was one of those summer courses. And I spent the whole summer. It was a singing, acting, dance thing, I think.
Okay.
And it was the day of the show. I was outside and I was like, nope. I don't want to.
Like, I don't know if this is for
me.
me.
I don't want to do it. I don't want to get up on stage in front of all these people and do this. No, I don't want to do it.
Was that stage fright or was that?
I think so.
Yeah.
Just a little nervousness or just, it was.
So I hope you don't mind. I'm going to dive into it a little bit.
What's up?
So was in that moment, do you remember if that was stage fright in the sense of what are people going to think of me, or stage fright in the sense of like, what if I screw this up?
I think if I remember, it was what if I screw this up? And knowing how I am with like gas braking and holding off on things like perfectionism. Yeah, it was definitely the like, what if I screw this up thing? And I did that. And like, I remember afterwards, I think I did another show after. It was just acting and it went fine. And like, I got compliments during the like whole process of learning the thing. But I was like, nah, man. Like afterwards, I was like, damn, why the fuck? I spent fucking 3 months doing this shit and I didn't go to fucking finish this son of a bitch, goddamn motherfucker. And like, and
there was a lot of emotions all in one.
Yo, it was just like, I could have actually gone and had fun because it was fun and like just got over my stuff. And I think like that was the first time I was like, nah, that nervousness thing, like I gotta get over it. And so like when it comes to acting, what's fear?
Yeah, that's
like,
badass.
What's
man.
fear when it comes to like acting? There's other things where I'm always like writing. I'm like, I'm gonna hold that back a little bit.
Yeah,
but when it comes to acting, it's like, what's fear?
I think working your way into that mentality that you're talking about is so important because, if for young actors just getting into it, the first thing that I think most young actors and even filmmakers, like even if you're trying to get into directing or whatever, something you should become very comfortable with is surrendering control, because you might do 40 takes and the one you think you killed it in is not the one that ends up in the final cut.
Yo,
you have no control.
Yeah.
That's it. All you have control over is what you bring on set day to day. And man.
Yeah.
That's the case with directing too. Like how many directors do you hear, went their separate ways because of creative differences? In reality, it's like, I have a vision. You hired me to paint that vision, and now you're telling me how to do my job. Like, and you have to you just got to get comfortable with it.
But then also it's got to go through the director, but then it's got to go through edit. So like, and then I guess that's one of the important parts of like making sure to do your best or like bring your all for every take, because you don't know which one's going to get grabbed.
Yeah. So do you feel like you got past that type of fear pretty early on, of like the fear of expectations of what you think you're going to see on screen? Do you watch your movies and shows?
It took me a bit to watch myself. So like the nervousness thing stopped. I've only been nervous, like I would say 2, maybe 3 times outside of that. And it's usually from other people around me.
What kind of things would they do that triggered that?
The first time after that it happened was finals, acting class, high school, scene partners. We went out. I was fine, cool as a cucumber. My scene partner was like, I'm nervous. It's like, you're not nervous? Like, nah. I'm nervous as hell, dude. I'm super nervous. Like, it's like, nah, don't freak out. It's cool. Just, we got this. I'm nervous. And after like the 7th time of him like being, and I guess in hindsight, I guess I just kind of pick up the energy around sometimes.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to acting. But yeah, I got nervous and I was like, what the fuck is this? And I'm like out here with like sweaty palm syndrome and like doing this, trying to like freaking, man. And then funny story, I got the wrong grade.
What do you mean wrong grade?
Class. My teacher, by accident, and he corrected it afterwards. He was a great teacher. But he put me down as not being there for the final. And like now in this moment, I'm like, was it because I was so outside of my normal self that I was in this like nervous state, and he's not used to me doing that he just completely erased me being there. And like, cause I remember it, and I was like, I got my grade. I was like, why the fuck do I have a D for acting? So I went back and I'm like, yo, Mr. G, what's going on? And he's like, you missed the final. I'm like, no, I didn't. And he's like, oh, wait, you're right. I have it down here. We got to fix it. So we eventually fixed it. But I got nervous that time. And then another time was a workshop. It was a casting workshop. And somebody next to me was nervous. And I don't even think they said anything yet because it was pre us going around the room and kind of doing introductions. Yeah. But like I was fine when I got there and I sat down, and then like after a minute, I think they mentioned it or something and they were close. And I was like, what is, oh man, like why are my palms getting moist? And so I could like kind of pick it up. But for the most part, I think I've overcome it.
That's good.
There's definitely been scenarios where on set I might have worried or buckled, but I was fortunate, I think, enough to have a class to grow in while I was out here, to where every scenario that I've kind of run into on set, I was lucky enough to have crossed it in class already.
Okay.
And so by the time I got to it on set, these like awkward surprises of like being Mary Jane, for instance, like having to be in my underwear on set normally probably would have been like wait, huh? Whoa.
It's like, wait, you want me to do what now?
And I got to do what on top of that? Cause like it was, it's in my comedy reel. He's like, I was playing a 16-year-old at the time. I think I was like 26. But I was playing a 16-year-old and he gets caught doing what teenagers do in the bathroom.
Yeah.
And so it's like the most embarrassing life experience ever. But then like I got to be on TV in my boxers doing this. So
is that something you didn't really know walking onto set that day? It was like a change.
I didn't see that scene.
Oh, wow.
So like that scene wasn't in the initial audition. But again, like just from prior training and like working through different scenes, and like I've been on stage in my boxers at this point. So it's like, whatever. Like, all right, let's go.
You're like, wait, I've been here before.
Yeah. They were like, oh, dial it back. This is cable. I was like, all right, cool. And then like Cloak and Dagger, I had a sex scene, and in like the top, it's cable again, so it's not very like graphic, and they don't show much, but like that would have been, I think, if I had trained at a different place or hadn't been there to actively like work through those type of scenes in a safe space, that's something that might throw an actor for a loop.
Oh yeah,
on set, you know what I mean? But like, it's like, hey, all right, let's go, let's do it.
Moral of the story, young actors, get an acting coach. Start going to classes.
Yeah. In a safe space. Only do it and grow somewhere that you're comfortable and safe in doing so.
Yeah, I really do believe it makes the world a difference. Yeah, because I mean, imagine a scenario where you didn't have that experience, and then you showed up on set and they were like, "You're doing a sex scene today."
Like, oh,
and you're like, "I don't even know how to behave because I've never been through this. I've never been coached on it." Or yeah, wow.
Or even just using like a weapon on set. You know what I mean? That's like,
yeah,
that's a nerve-wracking. That is a whole nerve-wracking thing. Having one pointed at you, pointing one at someone else, knowing,
especially now.
Yeah.
After the Alec incident. Yeah. That's so unfortunate.
It really is.
And I mean, there's so many moving parts on a film set. You always want to double, triple, quadruple. I was on it was an indie film set. It wasn't even anything studio or anything crazy. And we had an airsoft weapon. It wasn't even a real gun, no blanks, nothing like that. And the actress still double checked. And I'd advise you to double check, double, triple check. Like, dude,
for Cloak and Dagger, you have no idea how many times I checked that, like the gun, like both of them. There was 3, so I checked all 3 of them, like magazine, chamber, like dry click it, dry fire, but I mean it's a prop, so it doesn't really matter. It's not a live gun, but like, yeah, pull back the chamber, check that downside, like.
Well, and even just like basic training of just understanding how to manage a weapon and everything.
Yeah,
so important.
Segue. I mean, we can pick it up later or not. Like as far as like AI, I think.
Oh my God, AI is a whole topic, man.
It shows, and we know, whether it be innately or not, I think is the separation that is going to make the difference with creative ventures. Like AI is not a creative thing. It's a number crunching. It's a very logical thing.
Yeah.
Characters and people and their motivations don't make sense in logical ways.
No.
And like great actors, I think they say it, they say the eyes are the window to the soul, or it's in the eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And like,
well, AI itself has admitted that it would be easier for it to do the job of a CEO of some company, just a general business, versus writing a script.
Yeah.
Because it lacks the human element. It lacks the
empathy, the human experience.
Yep. And just the ability for humans to adapt to situations rather than, actually speaking, coming back to what you were really saying earlier, like, all right, take your clothes off. You're doing a scene in your underwear. The first thing that happens, what? Emotions.
Yeah.
The emotions trigger. And you're like, whoa. And that creates a totally different approach to that scenario than anything AI could possibly conjure for now. As far as Cloak and Dagger goes, you said you were in a few episodes. Is that something that you shot over the course of a couple of months? Was that day to day? Was it pretty quick?
No, that was over the course of some months, back and forth. It shot in New Orleans, so I was like back and forth between there, and I was crashing with a buddy, and so yeah, it was over the course of a couple months, and filming was weird because it was hurricane season, and so like we'd have dates set, and then Mother Nature's like,
not today.
You thought like. Yeah, nah, so the days would get canceled and moved around, and like, streets flooding from rain and all that good stuff. I remember the pilot, they had a rain machine because it was supposed to be raining, and then Mother Nature was like, here you go. And like it actually rained, so it like fit.
You guys didn't even use the machines? You just let it?
Yeah, from what I
remember.
Did you
shoot in the rain?
Yeah. Because it was supposed to be raining anyway, so we were kind of prepared, and we just shot in the rain. It's like, sweet.
I bet the budget was like, oh, good.
We can save the. I mean, they already had the truck was there, but I don't know if they got to like, look, we didn't use the water.
We're not paying you guys.
Yeah, but no, it was a good experience. It was like my first time in New Orleans and getting to see that. So
that's badass, dude.
Yeah.
Oh, hang on. You know what? Let me take a pause. I'm gonna take a leak.
Yeah, go for it.
What's
the quality of water here across, especially LA?
Oh, dude, I'm in an area where we have hard water, and I've been noticing that ever since I moved out here, that I've been dealing a lot more with dandruff, just dry scalp in general, dry skin.
Yeah,
and I really do think it's the water, because like the transition is way too coincidental. Anytime I travel abroad,
that's fine.
Early February, I was gone for 20 days, just traveling the Philippines and South Africa.
Yeah,
and like my dandruff went away. I wasn't using any special shampoos or nothing. My dandruff started going away. My skin started feeling a little less dry, a little more moist. And I sit in the shower for like 20, 30 minutes, so it's not
still.
But like, yeah, the water's
different.
So it's just bad in LA.
It's like
I'm going to say Hollywood. I don't know about all of LA, but in Hollywood where I'm at, the water is not good.
I do love America. I do. It's where I was born and raised. Like my blood, sweat, and tears have gone into it generations past and over, whatever. But the shit that they do to people here and like how they treat us as citizens and.
Well, that's the downside, I think, to capitalism, is that it is about the money. And unless you have somebody who truly cares about their citizens, put whatever they want out there. And that's like a very known thing. I'm so happy. Have you ever heard of Yuka? I'm going to have to show you the app after this, but for those of you guys that are at home, if you download the app, it's YUKA. I think it's free. They have like a donation option or whatever, but what the app is you take some, obviously not alcohol and stuff, because alcohol is alcohol, right? You should just know it's not really the best thing for you health-wise.
Yeah.
But if you go to the store and you scan products, it actually shows you the additives and the things that are added to that food.
Oh.
And what it has, and then it'll give you like a little blurb about it. Like, is it high risk? Has it been known to be, throughout research, has it been known to cause cancers or certain things? Or even if it's not a 100%, we know it causes cancer, it'll still at least pull in all the research that exists out there, and it'll say, hey, this thing that's in the food might not be the best thing for you to eat. I'm blown away at the junk that's in there.
Yeah, and it's wild because like the stuff with the least amount of ingredients and the least amount of science is the most expensive. But then when they're putting all the science and ingredients in, it's like super dirt cheap.
Yeah.
It's like you think it'd be opposite.
Yeah.
But it's like from like high fructose corn syrup to the stevias and the trimethylflorma glycerides to like keep it fluffy and just.
I know. As I saw this video, it terrified me. It was I think it was actually a TikTok video. I was just like randomly just doom scrolling, and I came across a video, and it showed just how they make McDonald's fries. But it was like one of those journalists that went undercover and everything, and they showed that it's like the fries are just like sprayed with these chemicals, and the people who it's to get rid of the like potatoes, how they have that little like brown, like the little brown spots in them.
Yeah.
McDonald's loves their golden fries, like clean, just yellow all the way through. So in order to get rid of that, they spray the hell out of it with this chemical. And they're like, it's totally safe in the tiniest of doses, but the people who are spraying the chemical are wearing hazmat suits.
Yeah, so like why the hazmat suit if it's safe?
Yeah, it's weird. And I saw that, and I swear to God, I never went back to McDonald's again after that. Like, I just couldn't.
I have a story about McDonald's fries. My mom had a truck when I was growing up back in the day, and it was like put in the kind of storage it wasn't used for a while. We got back in it one day to drive it, and we're kind of cleaning up, and I looked under the seat, and there was 2 McDonald's fries.
And you ate them.
Underneath this. Oh, God, I would have died. I might have actually exploded straight the boy style. I pulled them out, and they looked like I had gotten them that day. Like, if I had spritzed them with some water and thrown them in the microwave, you would think they were fresh. The last time that somebody was in that car, 2 years.
What?
2 years.
What? The fries were 2 years old, and those
bare minimum.
Holy! Let's even say it was a month. That still should not be
Still
okay.
Insane.
That shouldn't be 2 freaking years.
Yeah. The only difference is it was hard, but like again, no decay.
Wow, that is weird. That is so weird.
Minimum 2 years.
It's not, yeah, man. It's the stuff that's in our food and everything. Like ever since I started using that Yuka app, I've been doing a lot better with my eating. There's way too much junk out there. I think we like exist in a culture now where we don't take health seriously enough until something goes wrong.
That's because our doctors are only putting Band-Aids on and not fixing the problem. But it's all like, again, capitalism, money driven.
Well, yeah, you don't make profit off of healthy people if you're in the medical field. You just don't. And I mean, these heads of the medical industry, they have all the same board meetings every year about how they can maximize profits and all that stuff. And unfortunately, the way to maximize profits and health is to have unhealthy people. Not to get into conspiracy stuff, but like we could exist in a world where the elites of the world are like, well, we need sick people and we also feed people. So why don't we just put some, not to kill people, but let's put some stuff in our food that may or may not cause health issues down the line. Not to get too deep into this, but like my mom's on a bunch of different medications, and like every medication has some kind of side effect. And it's like, God, like even the stuff that's supposed to help us and make us feel better and make us feel good have something that make us also feel terrible. And then you look at like Chinese medicine and Indian medicine. Like there's the stuff that's like from ancient times. Actually, even in my own culture, when you have a fever and you're like really sick, like you start hitting like the hundreds or whatever. Have you ever even in the slightest thought that taking fresh potato peels, like just cutting up potatoes and putting them on the soles of your feet would
help? They do that with onions as well. Yeah, and it's supposed to pull the toxins out. And like if you look at them like the next morning or the next day, like the toxins are kind of drawn out through your feet, the soles of your feet,
it's
into the.
It's incredible, and it works.
Yeah,
I don't know the science behind it. I'm not that freaking smart. I'm really not. But it's crazy. It really does. It has some kind of effect that is different from when I have a fever and I'm sick versus when I don't have a fever and I'm relatively healthy.
Well, I mean, I guess it's the body, like everything goes down to the feet. Like there's so many, like I know from like Eastern Chinese medicine, like there's so many like reflex points in the feet that you can like hit and affect other parts of the body and all that. And so, I mean, it's believable.
Yeah. Well, I think, and that kind of dives a little bit into the whole, like going out into the woods or going out into nature and just walking out in nature in just bare feet and just like really soaking in the energy from the earth. I never like just if I didn't grow up under the circumstance of like putting those potatoes on and seeing that it really does truly have an effect, I don't even know that I would believe it. I'd be like, hocus pocus, mumbo jumbo nonsense. Like, what is stepping on a blade of grass going to really do for my body?
I'm a firm believer that like the planet and the earth gives us everything that we need to survive.
Agreed. Yeah.
And if we just worked with it, we'd be fine. Like if we worked in the balance with it, because like it balances itself and every other creature on this planet until humans, do the fucking destruction thing. But other than that, like for the most part, unless we bring something invasive or whatever that kind of messes up the ecosystem is a system.
It's self-sustained too.
Yeah, it works. It just kind of goes and it continues.
And I think that one of the scariest part about that is we really don't know that. Like we've been doing record keep on even simple things like the weather for maybe a little over 100 years, 150 years. In the grander scheme of things with how long humanity has even just been around, we don't know a damn thing. Like all this stuff with these disasters that have happened historically throughout time, and Ice Age, right? Relatively known as a recurring thing that has happened throughout Earth from studies. And like now we might be moving into a place where we may be triggering our own ice age through, I don't know, whatever they talk about, right? But let's say even that's not the case, right? Naturally, it'll just happen. So if humans are speeding up that process, right, to head towards the ice age, if we're speeding up that process through technology and through all this other stuff, that means it's just getting there faster. It doesn't mean we caused it. If there even was no technology, there'd still be an ice age. At some point, it would happen again.
Yeah, just because of the cycle of the planet.
But like we don't know what kind of an ice age we might cause through all the technology even that we have, all the stuff that we've created. Like the next ice age might be it.
Yeah.
Or what if every ice age that has happened was it? Like we had technology, we had all this stuff, and then every time an ice age happens, it brings us back.
Resets it all. It's very possible, like whether it be ice age or impacts or shifts, volcanic eruptions. I mean, it's like, yeah, the ice age was going to happen anyway, like you said. But like, if we speed it up and if we add on to it, because like we've seen more extremes in the weather, and so like if we make the shift more extreme, what does that have? Like, how does that affect the cycle, the natural cycle?
Yeah.
Like you can have a car, and if it's like, it's for, 4 cylinders, RPMs, basic, but then you consistently, you're like, nah, you just leave that engine on rev, it's more likely to like cause issues or blow faster or whatnot.
Yeah.
So like, are we making the oncoming ice age worse by doing what we're doing, or is it just preparedness time? Like how much time are we losing where we could have had technology that could have better prepared us, but it moved up?
I wonder if as far as like just preparing for what's to come, right? That kind of thing.
Yeah.
I wonder if this is like a recurring cycle in humanity, right? Because I am a firm believer that humans have always been very creative creatures. Because if that was the case, like, I don't know that we would have all these ancient buildings and all these ancient sculptures with these drawings of these different mythical type creatures, right?
Yeah.
Well, I guess it could be looked at in two different ways, right? Like when you have those Egyptian architectures that have like a part body of one thing and then a head of another thing, like that kind of stuff.
Yeah, the anthropomorphics.
It's like one of two things. Either maybe they had the technology back then to start like infusing species, which who freaking knows?
Yeah.
But it could also be that they were super creative. If that's the case, if we've always been creative, why did it take up until now for us to develop technology? Or did we always have it, and then every time these global disasters happen, it just like resets?
I mean, I guess depending on what you look into or believe or whatnot, there are examples of like crazy technology or machines and machinations or things.
Or even just the
back
building of
then.
the pyramids.
Still don't understand it. Still can't make it. You can't slip a piece of paper through it. Like
so crazy.
They had working aqueducts, all type of like pressures and like using light and a bunch of other things. I mean, like if you go to Da Vinci, they said he made full mechanical robots that worked on their own. Like you could crank it once and it would just continuously work.
Yeah.
I think they said he had a design for a lion that would like walk on four legs to the throne or whatever. I don't know what you call it back then, kings or whatever. But then it would stand up on two and open its chest and it would present a gift.
That sounds like technology.
That's a robot. That's like your old school, like walking, barking robo pet dog.
That's so wild.
There's so many things from back in the day where we're like, how did they pull this off? But we're the advanced ones.
Yeah. Well, I think if there's anything that's different today versus maybe before when we had technology, and I'm also just coming from a place of total ignorance, I feel like the internet. If this is the first time historically that we've ever created the internet, then whatever technology we have been developing over time across the whole planet, different cultures like China, Russia, America, all these different places, right? Every time a technology is developed, almost instantaneously the world finds out about it, and then people start tinkering and trying to expand and evolve on that technology. If in ancient times we had similar technology to what we had today, but the internet didn't exist,
Yeah.
I feel like it would still take a relatively long time for communications to get out into the world to know, like, hey, this civilization over here is like building these robots. What the fuck is that?
I mean, I guess it depends on how advanced their technology was or what they were using, whether that be, did they have like the ravens or the bird, the pigeon or Pony Express or like the pigeons when they would send out messages was there some type of like...
In like Norse mythology with the ravens?
Yeah. Or like could they shine lights and use Morse code? Or did they use the Earth's ley lines to like... there's so many different like...
And like how do they know how many planets were in our solar system?
Like, I mean, one thing you can say is like there was no light pollution back then, so they had just nothing but stars to look at, and so like,
but even then, you'd have to know.
Yeah, you got to keep track of them.
And like with your naked eye, you'd have to look out in the sky and go, "Yep, that's Neptune." That's there are nine. Well, not nine
we
anymore,
can
right?
kind of identify them on like clear nights. You can kind of identify. Like I feel like certain planets have different like.
Can you see Pluto with the naked eye? Or like Neptune. I can kind of see like Mars.
You can see Neptune, Jupiter, Mars.
Okay.
I don't know about. I think so. Uranus. I think you can see. I think most of the planets. I'm not sure about Pluto.
Okay, that's an interesting take. I never thought about that. So because of the lack of light pollution back then, they were able to observe the sky in more detail.
But then again, even being able to observe it does not mean that you can place it on this thing mathematically exact to the degree of where it is, and not just that one star, but like 15,000 of them, or like 12 or 20. So you got to write 20 times to place a star exactly where it is from up there down here. The distances are right. How are you measuring?
Or even even the structures of the pyramids are based on mathematical equations that exist in nature.
Yeah.
And it's like, you guys were that smart that you could figure all of this out. I just find it hard to believe that they didn't have other advanced technologies.
Something. And like, I want to say they're even placed underneath constellation. Like they're placed stars as well. Like, so not only like the Earth itself, but like even by the constellations and like pinpoint accuracy.
Yeah. Yeah. And to the degree where like scientists have gone back and they were like, okay, well, this is what the sky looks like today. The way that it would have looked, X amount of thousands of years ago, it lines up.
Exactly.
And it's like, whoa.
How did they?
Like they had to have had advanced technology. I know like there's all these like, oh, aliens this and aliens that. Like, sure, maybe. I would rather believe that humans have always been just super, super creative and very intelligent, and that every once in a while, nature throws us, how did Ultron put it in Avengers Age of Ultron? Every once in a while, the balance is created, and then God throws a stone at it. He was talking about like a meteorite. So even taking the idea of like God or religion or anything out of it, some sort of a disaster occurs that's like unavoidable, and it's on a global scale, whether it's like a massive solar flare
or a solar flare or meteor. Yeah.
It's like the fate of humanity. Like every time we feel like we're close enough, something happens and we're like, you got to start it. You got to start again.
There's so many myths and like they're from the religion thing, but just myths, legends, religions, whatever it may be, like mostly like from like the Greek mythos or the Egyptian, like there's always some type of reset point, or like when humans were like, oh, y'all, like where the gods are like, y'all doing too much.
Beerus comes down and he's like, this isn't going to fly.
Goku. Like they walk away and they're like, all right, well, we'll let the kids play. They come back and like the oven's flipped over, the refrigerator's empty, the garage is on fire. They're like, where's your sister? She's hanging up in a tree, like by her shirt. And like, there's just crazy stuff going on. And so they go, no.
That kind of sounds akin to this thing I was listening to recently from this guy, Billy Carson.
Mm-hmm.
He was talking about how throughout his research and all the studies that he's gone through, that he believes that humans are actually a breakaway civilization of another species, which are also like humanoid types, where the Anunnaki and all that stuff they talk about. I just think that's a cool idea. Like to think that we're a part of some super intelligent species that's like humans are actually a galactic species, but we're a part of a subsect of humans that got left on this planet. We did something really terrible, and our the others of our civilization were like, here's your punishment. Like you're going to stay on this planet. We're taking away all your technology, and you will be stuck and like doomed on this planet to live out the rest of your days. And like that part, I'm kind of adding on my own. That was like if it was an anime.
They're doing too much again. They're trying to get to the heavens. Their technology's advanced too much. Like whether you want to think about it on like magic, science, tech, religion, like whatever, it's like, oh, they're doing too much again. They're trying to overthrow us. They're trying to, I don't know, they're destroying each other. They're destroying their planet.
You guys remember what happened last time you made nuclear weapons? Do we really got to go through this again?
Stop. Why do they keep making nukes? Like, why do they keep doing this? I don't know. Like,
I've read some stuff where they believe that they've uncovered evidence of like nuclear radiation in places where it shouldn't make sense because there's no signs of like meteorite impacts or anything like that. And they're like, how did this nuclear radiation get here?
Yeah. Well, they say like a lot of the like UFOs, if you believe in aliens, like I'm a little bit of a believer in almost like ghosts, like aliens. I mean, there's too many. Like, I'm kind of I'm open to it all.
My philosophy is if I can't prove it wrong, I feel like why not believe it's possible? Yeah, it's like aliens. Like if aliens were real or they weren't real, it doesn't affect anything that's happening today right now. Because if they were real, I'm still sitting here having this conversation with you.
No, it's like, I'm not paying taxes if aliens are real.
Yeah.
You got to pay 10% of it. Get the fuck out of my face, bro. Like,
Wait, so if
that thing's got a spaceship and a phaser gun. If you don't get away from me, like they're drinking like blue water on Uranus 2
blue milk.
Yeah, like nah, dog. Like I'm not paying your taxes, California. Fuck you.
So if you
Kick
get like
me off of Earth, like bitch, I'm ready to go. Like fuck this place. Like
that is such a fair point. That is funny. So if we ended up in an Independence Day situation, the first thing you'd be like, I'm not filing taxes this year.
Nah, fuck them taxes. Just seriously, like just anything. Like you find out Beerus and Frieza are real. Like,
oh god, it's like I'm so insignificant.
A Republican, like a Democrat. What the fuck? Like,
yeah, like what is even
you
that?
see the Frieza Force back here? Do you see Captain Ginyu right there?
You're either a part of the Galactic Empire or your food.
Because like if Frieza decided to just like I've taken over all the solar systems, like you're mine. Like what are we gonna do?
Nothing.
Maybe death beams, death balls. Like
that's like the big thing is like, let's even take like a powerful being like Frieza even out of the equation, right?
Yeah. Star Trek even.
Yeah. If whatever alien civilization finally shows up in the sky and they're like, hey, we're a thing. If they could reach us and we can't even see them.
Exactly. Yep.
What are we going to do? Plant a computer virus in their mothership as if they don't know how to deal with that shit? Like, come on.
Exactly.
I love Independence Day, but guys, there was no winning that.
But yeah, no, like I'm not paying your taxes.
I'd like to think if there is some sort of a, like if we're I hate using the word experiment because that doesn't feel appropriate. But if we're on this planet, and there's some higher species that's like observing us and trying to get us on the right path, that also could mean that they're protecting us. That makes me feel a little better, because then if some like nutcase politician who's got their finger too close to the red button happens to push it, it is comforting knowing that there's some advanced civilization out there that's like, we're not going to let you all perish.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully.
Apparently, it's in our genetics. If you believe the myth that like conflict is just in our like.
I think that's only a thing if we're susceptible to greed and jealousy and those kind of things,
which we totally are.
We absolutely are.
But to like get to a place of what we could maybe consider utopia, or like we'd have to remove these like, it's actually kind of funny because when you look back at like old religious texts, like take for example like the 7 deadly sins, right? Every one of the 7 deadly sins is legitimately a thing that even in today's society exists that does slump your life. Like if you're sloth, you're lazy, you start to get depressed. You start to like all these negative effects. If you're gluttonous, then you eat too much. You start to gain weight.
Bad, you're heavy. Yeah.
Envy, same thing. It leads to like internalized despair and like just full blown like just cruel behavior. Mm-hmm. Ancient civilizations have already discovered if you do this, your life is going to kind of suck. So maybe you should do this instead. And like that's been written into text. And now, because a lot of the information is probably outdated now, but because we think one chunk of it is outdated, now all of a sudden we think it's all outdated. And like a good chunk of it is still
valid information. Like, I think that's the danger of like, you're forgetting the history, you know, and not learning from it because you forget those lessons.
It feels like it, man. I really think that at the core of it all, I think humans ruin religion, but there's a lot of really good things in religion that could teach us values in life that could really make society a better place. Whether it's Buddhism or Islam or Judaism or Christianity or Hinduism, it doesn't matter. Like whatever it is across the board, all of them have these very important like human lessons that could be taught, that you can take away from, that could still be applied today despite how ancient that text is.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's the takeaway we're missing by like demonizing religion altogether. It's crazy.
It's the guideposts of life. Like, funny enough, the Georgia guidepost, I believe it was in Georgia, like they got destroyed, but there was like the rules of life and like 180 different languages or something.
Oh, you're talking about that giant stone that was destroyed?
Yeah. And it had like just basic human decency. And that's what I think, like what for, like you said, from Buddhism, from Christianity, from Hinduism, like, yeah, they have their differences, and I think that's where people get so very it's because they're all focusing on those minute differences that might have been just cultural things.
Well, it's like you said earlier, like Republican, Democrat, like who fucking cares, man?
We all want the same thing.
Yeah.
Health, medical, food, whatever. And it's like a lot of the religions are like, or the paths or the mythologies are like thousands of years apart, like you were saying with the pyramids. Like they kind of follow in that same thing where they're like the Peru pyramids are this time period, the Egyptian pyramids are this time period. And there's so much, not only space between them, but time between them as well. But if you look, the basic form is the same. And I think it's the same thing with practices of life and those they all teach the basic same rules and things, and those are the things that are needed for the decency and the proper, I think, growth of life. And it's when we learn those things and accept those things and kind of emplace them, that we can actually grow as people and as a society and as a world, as a planet, as a human race, because we're all just human.
Yeah, man, I hate all this divide. It's so crazy to me because we're all human beings. We're all the freaking same. I don't remember which one it was. It was either Hinduism or Buddhism. I think it was Hinduism. The belief, I was actually listening to Sadhguru. He was talking about how there's this ancient belief that we all actually came from the same being. And this being was lonely, and it split itself off into multiples in order to solve this feeling of loneliness. Mm-hmm. If you were to even just think about that, if you were raised on that belief, you would never treat a single other human being with cruelty because you would understand that person sitting
that is you. Yeah. It's just you in different shoes.
Yeah.
It's a part of you. Like if we went to the next level, you'd be the same entity.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then closer with more. Yeah. But we don't continue that kind of thought process. And especially in today's society with the social media and the media in general, we're pumped with so many look at this difference, fight amongst yourself, look at this difference, fight amongst yourself.
Yeah.
And then we're put in stressful situations so that we act strangely, or we're given food that makes us feel bad. And I think all of those things compounding are the weapons that the few use to keep us in that place to where we can't kind of unify.
Yeah. There's definitely some kind of a force of nature or something that exists out there that's just constantly we don't want these beings to get along.
It's working against progress. It's working against peace. You can look at there's multiple examples in history with the black community and post-slavery, because slavery never really ended.
No.
It just changed its name.
I was going to say it evolved.
Yeah, it evolved.
Yeah.
They evolved it into a legal way of doing it, but then didn't just apply it to one culture anymore. They applied it to everybody that didn't have the money values that they wanted them to have. But fooled everybody into thinking, and fighting amongst themselves, because there's still a racial, even though we're all human, there's still a racial and cultural aspect to it where there's a caste or a rung system, but then ultimately when it boils down to it, it's the ones with a bunch of billions against the ones that don't have it.
It's the haves and the have-nots.
Yep.
And I feel historically there have been certain races of individuals that have fallen into the category of have-nots on much larger scales than others. But historically, slavery has been happening across the entire planet throughout so much of history. And when you look at it today, it's oh yeah, we're finally progressing. We're doing so much better.
How?
But we're doing better in what way? Because now you've taken slavery from being concentrated to a single race to just applying it to the entirety of the poverty of the entirety of the
population
of the entirety of the
society,
population.
Yeah.
For the poor. If you're a part of the have-nots, you're essentially a slave to capitalism, to the system. So if you're born in a place that's unfortunate, and it does happen. You're right. It does happen. particularly, especially to the African American communities, when you go to these schools and you go to these places and you're like, wow, you guys are not funded well. You guys aren't given the kind of care that you should be getting.
Absolutely.
And like that shit stems from old school racism.
100%. You can draw lines between slavery and old school racism to like so many problems today directly. And you can't, if you sit and look at it, you can't miss the picture.
No.
It's not abstract by any means.
No,
it's a
not
clear,
at all.
concise picture.
Yeah, it's so straightforward. It's like it like almost wants to smack you hard in the face.
Absolutely. It sucks because like, again, on the cast and just on the like have and have nots, there's just like an onion or just like levels to a game. They've made levels to the oppression of people. And like,
well, and it's easy to do that too if everyone's divided.
Mm-hmm. And
like,
you can just point a finger and damn a whole society of people, or a whole culture of people, a whole race of people.
I really do think, kind of coming back to what we were talking about before, I really do think the media feeds into a lot of that.
Mm-hmm.
Because I really genuinely want to believe that deep down inside, to our core, humanity is good, and that we like work our way into this world, and then we start to experience hardship, and I'll use the word parasites because I can't think of another one, but like the parasites of the world who just want to like leech off of the whole of humanity. They'll find every possible way to keep us focused on conflicts with each other in order for them to remain in power, regardless of what that means, whether financial power
or societal. Yeah, absolutely. 100% agreed.
That's why I hate politicians and lawyers and fucking all this crazy shit, because really the only reason you have politicians is to preserve order. And if you're not preserving order,
then what are you doing there?
Well, actually, let me take it back. Not preserving order. You really should be just preserving peace to your society, to your people.
Functional society.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, cause let's face it, I know if there was nothing that exists that told me what's good and what's bad and what's right and what's wrong, it'd be a free for all. Like whether it be for me or for whatever. So any crazy thought that comes into somebody's mind, they would just do that thing.
Yeah.
And it would be total insanity. So I do believe in organized structure, however you want to look at that, right? This generation, it's politicians. Before it was kings and whatever you want to call it.
We need some, like, and I guess it comes down, I think.
It's a double-edged sword, though, because if you're a leader, is it fucking shitbag?
Well, I think you just need a society that instills decency in its people. And I guess that instills common decency. So it's like, oh, I got 10 potatoes or 5 potatoes or whatever. That guy's hungry. Here, take 3 potatoes. I don't need all 7 of these.
It's crazy, too.
Or I don't need all 10 of these.
The more you lean into the less fortunate societies, the more giving I've found people to be.
Mm-hmm. Because I think they understand the hardship.
Yeah. It's so wild to me that like the ones that have the least are the ones that are the most giving.
Yeah. It's like, oh, I got 1 potato, but you know what? Yeah. I'll share that half a potato with you so we can both make it to the next day. Yeah, it's wild, man.
That's the crazy thing is like we could potentially move into a realm where there is some sort of I do believe this. I do believe that we could live in a utopia world, not necessarily where like everything is equal for everybody, because you do still have the outcome of work.
Yeah, there's
right?
some amount of effort.
Yeah.
So like,
actually coming back to that scene you're talking about, right? What you put in, you get something back. Might not always be fair, might not always be right.
Yeah,
but you'll always get some
back.
If you don't do shit, you're not gonna get shit.
Yeah.
So like that element always has to exist, but I do believe that we as a humanity, if you were to take out all this toxicity and this illusion of difference between all of us.
Yeah.
I do think we can live in a really peaceful world.
Absolutely.
I really, really freaking want to believe that.
It's like with UBI, like universal basic income. It should cover the basics, right? Your room, your board, so you got somewhere to live, lay down your head. You got somewhere to wash yourself. You got food. Enough to like cover your basic needs. And like, I guess that was the thought of minimum wage, but obviously that crumbled horribly. But
because I think the federal minimum wage is still only $7.25. who in their right mind believes that any person in America could survive off of $7.25 an hour?
But I think the average need for like even to rent a place is like,
Oh, here, bring the mic up a little bit. Yeah.
Let's see.
So universal basic income, if you were to cover all the needs of the basic needs.
Covers all your needs. And they go, well, what would people do if we covered all of their stuff? Advance, grow, learn. I mean, like that opens people up to like, think of what people would be capable of when relieved of stress and hunger and like sickness and pain. Like how much more are you willing to do when you're not in pain or discomfort? You know, like how many more philosophers, how many more artists, how many more innovators and inventors would we have if they weren't bogged down by high fructose corn syrup, the stress of rent, paying 50 to 60% of their income in bills?
Yep.
Not able to enjoy life.
How many engineers who could have progressed humanity have been lost?
Yo, it's like going back to kind of the mistreatment of the impression and the few against the many, and like where that kind of came from and how it's grown. Like you go back to things like the Tulsa massacre, or like and that's not even just the only one. There's like hundreds.
Black Wall Street. For
like,
those of you guys who don't know about it, please look this up. You will enlighten yourself to a degree. Like
they got in planes, crop duster planes, and threw pipe bombs and dynamite over homes and businesses of an entire neighborhood that had worked and grown and become prosperous.
Yeah, and they were thriving and they were doing so good. And a bunch of fucking assholes who could not allow those people to exist in their bliss.
In their own air, like just...
They weren't even fucking with anybody else. It's not like they were coming over there and being
burning
like...
things down and destroying it, or...
Like, look how much better we are. None of that. It was actually, that comes back down to the 7 deadly sins, right? Like, it comes from a place of jealousy.
And then at the same time, it's like some of the time they even had it. They had the same things. Like, you just don't want them to do better. What? Why? Like,
it's so even fucking weird to say that there was like a normal thing for society to be like, another human being is doing all this crazy shit for me, and I don't have to provide them a damn thing besides enough food for them to breathe and live.
And then on top of that, I'm going to mistreat them into the worst of my machinations.
Sick fucking people, man. It's just completely sick people.
And it's like, you didn't just house that and keep that sick thought to yourself. You pushed it upon the rest of the world. And you like fooled and beguiled people in other cultures into, like, for lack of a better, drinking the Kool-Aid too.
Mm-hmm. I think that's what helped with, I know America gets a really bad rep historically when it comes to this stuff, but I do think that it was the creation of America and the diversity of the different types of people that came from the different corners of Europe, parts of Europe that didn't believe in slavery, parts of Europe that was a part of their norm. And I think that melting pot of people started to create that discourse. You got to, like, I might be off on the numbers, but from the point where the American Revolution happened to where slavery was abolished, it was only about 70 to 80 years. And considering how slow shit moves, even today in politics.
Yeah.
Think about an age before they had the internet or any of these like wide scale communications. Like, America's not solved. Solved is not the right word. But America addressed its issue of slavery pretty damn quick.
I mean, it took, I think 3 years for even slavery to like cancel it. Like, slavery's ending, which is why we have Juneteenth now. Like, it took years for those in the South to actually learn about their own freedom, which is crazy as hell.
Yeah.
Because you know that the people that were perpetuating it fucking knew. And they were just like, we're going to keep it going. Like, and just...
Dude, rest in peace, all the poor souls that were in situations where when that shit went down, They literally just decided to start killing. It just is because that is insane. And you know, that's the fear of that stuff. The fact that exists somewhere deep in our DNA, in our human genetic makeup. It could even happen today, where a bunch of people get together and they're like, actually, like this all these conflicts going on in the world now. The thing that terrifies me the most is that at some point, whether it's one side or the other, or whatever, I don't know how many sides there are even at this point, either one side or the other is going to go, we're losing, but we can't let the other side win. And they push that red button, and it's global nuclear war.
Yeah, because once one is pushed, like
that's done.
Everybody's going to be like, oh, well.
Yep.
We don't want to lose either.
We need the aliens. That's when the aliens got to come in and like, guys.
Boom, 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 like just ships everywhere. You're like, oh.
That'd be a badass opening to a film. Like having
somebody hits the nukes and like aliens just show up.
And that's the opening of the film, is like that's how society that actually maybe more of like a TV series. Crazy.
It's funny because like I guess it's a full circle moment of like the lack of empathy and the like mistreatment of people goes back full circle to kind of like that discussion of anime. You fuckers watched more anime, you'd been like, this is not the right thing to do. I got to stand up for people.
I'm a firm believer that if you grew up watching Dragon Ball, Naruto, Bleach, or any of these other types of Big Shonen Jump animes, and you're also not a good person, you did something
You
wrong.
missed the message.
You did
totally
not missed
go
it.
back and watch Remember the Birds Gohan, because you fucking missed the message. That dude was built to the kill, and he was like, I like birds.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's that like, yeah, that,
it does.
That connection.
It teaches,
humanity.
I really do believe, it teaches kids to be better. Yeah. It really does.
The restroom.
Yeah, me too. We're going to hit the restroom. Not together, separately. I think this, considering how long Xenoverse has been going, I feel like this game's going to be around for a while.
I am not a fan of season passes. Fuck season passes. You guys know what you're doing. And like, we're buying games digital now. There's no overhead. And also, Sony, with that line that we don't own them, we're renting them. But
wasn't there a game recently that it was like a driving game where you have the access to the entire United States. You can drive anywhere you want.
That's fantastic.
And they recently disconnected the servers. It was an online only game. Everybody who paid their $60, $70 or whatever to buy that game, not a single person can any longer play it. There is no offline compatible. So you're just renting the game. You never actually own it. So if they at any point were like, we can't manage the server anymore, you no longer have a game.
That's ridiculous. I feel like the only time that'd be acceptable is if you're like, okay, I'm running PlayStation Plus, so that allowed me access to the catalog. Yeah. Acceptable terms. But if I actually bought the game and paid for it digitally, especially if I'm paying the same price as somebody who's picking it up physically,
one? Yep.
I should be able to like download it, or at least give me a heads up to say, hey, in 1 year, this game is no longer going to be accessible on the store. So if you want to keep this permanently, download it on a hard drive.
Something that I really, really want to do without having to go through this painful process of figuring out how all these PlayStation emulators work. I want to go back and I want to play Tenkaichi 3, but I can't buy it on the Xbox store, or you can't buy it on the PSN store. You can't. It's not even a thing. So like you can't buy Tenkaichi 3 and play it legally.
And I guarantee you to buy like a physical copy.
Oh, you can't even do that anymore.
$300.
That's crazy.
Which I'm surprised this isn't a time that they're like, we're going to capitalize on the hype. Because that's usually what they do. They're like, oh, hype, we're going to capitalize. So yeah, go ahead and like throw all the Budokais in the catalog.
If it was like Capcom, they would have been like, we need to do a remastered version of Tenkaichi 3 so we can put out a feeler that doesn't cost as much. Let's see how much people really want this.
Yeah. It's Dragon Ball. They're going to at least make their bottom dollar. It's hard not to.
So these microphones are really, really good. So I don't know if the audience picked that up, but there is an alien police vehicle. Because that's what that shit sounded like.
It had like a that was weird.
That is funny. But yeah, I would, I'd be one of those suckers that if they released all the old 3 Tenkaichis for like the new platforms, I would totally go out and spend money to buy that again.
Just on the top of that, like again, they were fun games, and you could do wild things like use Yajirobe with Nappa, like
ridiculous.
Napoji. Like, here you
Napoji.
go. Like,
that is now forever a part of Dragon Ball lore.
please
Napoji.
make it Napoji. Yeah.
That's funny. Man, yeah, Sparking Zero is going to be crazy. And now for the first time ever for a Tenkaichi, like an actual official Tenkaichi game, not Raging Blast or any of these, we're finally going to also have online play.
Yeah, like from anywhere, and it's all hands all day that day. I'm taking off of work.
I have a wedding I'm going to on October 12th.
Oh, and it drops on the 11th.
I got the Ultimate Edition, so I'll be able to play it on the 8th.
Yeah.
But it's going to be like, and I'm super excited for the wedding. Like, I'm really excited for the wedding. And not at all dreading the fact that I have to go to a wedding over a fucking video game. But I'm going to want to just play the shit out of that fucking thing the moment it lands. I'm going to want to go through the entire story mode and beat all the missions and get all the freaking characters. And then now for the first time ever, go online and just fight with anybody.
How long is the plane ride?
Not super long, 5 hours.
That's enough. All right.
That's enough.
So, I don't know if Xbox has it. PlayStation has it, but like you can download the app.
Oh, and just take the controller with you?
Yeah.
I don't know if Xbox has it. I don't think so.
And then like as long as my PlayStation's in rest mode, I can beep and it'll like tiki and I can play on it. Now you might have that lag for the internet, so I wouldn't go online and like fight anybody.
Play through story and
but
stuff.
You probably get story. Yeah. Worst case, you might have to run the like pay the fee for the online or the airplane Wi-Fi. But
well,
yo, you do what you got to do as a gamer.
I guess I'm getting a PlayStation 5. It's actually crazy because every single time I ever bought a new gen PlayStation, and I've only ever been on PlayStation until this most recent gen of gaming or of games. I never got the new gen system until they announced a Dragon Ball game for it. That's been like a tradition with me as a gamer. Is every time a Dragon Ball game is announced, I'm like, all right, got to get the PS2 now. I wouldn't feel all that bad if I had to drop the money in a PlayStation 5 just to preserve that tradition for Sparking Zero. Fuck it.
It looks gorgeous. I'm going to definitely be playing.
We'll have to go a few rounds.
Absolutely.
Yeah, after I unlock Yamcha. Because I want to die in a crater. If I'm going to die, I'm going to die in style.
If he's not an already unlocked, at least base level Yamcha, like, he's got a crater Yamcha is the immediate unlock.
He's actually a transformation. Like you enter the transformation animation and he just dies in a crater.
You got to be able to teach crater to other characters.
Teach crater?
Yeah. Like,
that's amazing.
So you can use crater as a skill. Like, just.
Now, would that be a dodge skill or is that like a surrender?
I don't know. I guess it depends on the character. Perfect world, each character would have their different version.
That would be great.
I feel like Vegeta's would just be him down there holding his arm. Yeah. Like, but that's his basic, like, injured anyway, but he's too prideful.
It's like a trauma thing. I feel like it's like a fake injury. It's like his default pose because back when he was a little kid, he was like a brat as a prince, and every time he would pretend to get hurt to his dad, he'd be like, Dad! And he would always hold the same arm, and that's how his dad knew he was full of shit. And he was just like, you didn't hurt your arm, you just want attention. And that just became a part of his...
He's just character in it. I also have a theory about Goku, is that he's going to die by heart attack.
Oh, you mentioned that earlier, and I totally didn't explore that, because that was such a bizarre and awesome thing to say.
Yeah.
And I grazed over it. So why is Goku having a heart attack? It's not his eating habits, right?
No. It's because...
So I wouldn't be surprised.
I think everybody has Honestly, I think most of the characters have something permanent or an injury, but whether it's the injury thing or a timeline, certain things are inevitable thing.
Oh, like in the recent Flash movie, like those inevitable cross intersections or whatever.
It's almost
time.
in everything. Yeah, those things that you just can't avoid. And I think it's Goku having something with his heart, because just like Vegeta, every time Goku takes an extreme hit, he grabs his heart. And since Trunks came back from the future, he's like, Goku, you're going to die of heart disease. And they never really confirmed like what it was or whatnot. But since then, he's always grabbing his heart when he's tired or exhausted. Yeah. And like even hit when he killed him, it hit him in his heart. And his heart stopped, his eyes went white, and he died. But that Kamehameha came back down. And like
that was clever, by the way, way clever.
It was like, is that an accident or was it on purpose? It's probably on purpose. It's Goku.
Yeah, no matter how dumb he is socially, he's a brilliant martial artist. So anyway,
but also he died and kind of went like this. So like, did it redirect when he died and his arm went up? So it's like,
but he had to, it's not like Ki would just fall back down. He had to have intentionally preset that Ki blast to come back around.
He probably commanded it, but
yeah. But that's an interesting, honestly, there's no way to disprove either way. Yeah. So like, and irregardless of how you look at it.
Yeah. Either way, he's still Goku. And I think he set it up, but
it's crazy. But so you think Goku's end will be by heart attack?
Yeah. Or it's either a heart attack or a strike to his heart or something.
Frieza.
Because every single time, like, that's his weak point. Whatever, like, just like Vegeta grabs his arm, Goku always grabs his chest. And so I think his heart, like, they've told him before, like, Goku, you pushing your body, like, you've torn your body up.
Oh, is that would that be like a Bruce Lee thing? Because isn't that, I know there's a lot of like discussions over how Bruce Lee met his end, but I know one of them was that his just body could no longer keep up with the physical.
Well, Vegeta mentions that they've hit their physical peaks.
Oh, really?
In the manga.
Oh, yeah.
He's like, Kakarot, we can't do any more to get our bodies like ready. It's just our minds that can fall into place anymore. And like, yeah, he's like halfway. We're already at our peaks. And so like, there's that on top of it. But yeah.
I just want to take a moment to acknowledge the fact that Gohan's beast form is so beast that fucking perfected Ultra Instinct couldn't dodge the
he adapted to it. Like he was like, oh,
insane.
Okay, this is where I got to get to. I'm going to step up now. But like, it's like Vegeta said, he's got the most potential out of all of us. He's going to keep pushing. He has no cap. Like, he has no top to like limit himself. He's going to just keep meeting and matching whatever ki you put out against him.
Dude, imagine if Gohan never stopped training after the Cell games. He would have wiped the floor with Majin Buu.
Yeah.
Majin Buu would have been born. He would have been like, what is this? Like,
even the Buu that he fought after absorbing Gotenks, he could have taken him. But he held back because he didn't want to kill Piccolo or Gotenks. Yeah, Gotenks
and Piccolo. Yeah.
He's like, and I think Chi-Chi and Bulma had like most people have been absorbed. He's like, I don't want to kill them.
Damn.
So he started off with arrogance, but then his arrogance, all of them got absorbed, and he's like, well, now I can't. He held back, and then he got absorbed, and then he became unstoppable.
That's crazy.
Because they didn't beat him.
No.
They got absorbed to try to go in and grab everybody, but like.
Yeah, and that was another thing that they didn't translate well into the dub. Because in the original Funimation dub, when I was a kid and I watched that shit, it showed Vegeta being like, damn it, or he said blast it, while he was being absorbed. That alluded to this idea that he was caught off guard. In the original Japanese version, he says barrier. And he actually says the word barrier as he's getting absorbed, and then later you find out that Vegito actually planned it.
Yeah.
So he planned to be absorbed.
Yes.
But the original dub version made it seem like he was caught by surprise. And then Goku, when they were inside Buu, like Vegeta was giving Goku shit for being like,
it's your fault we got absorbed.
Something, yeah. So it's interesting.
Weird.
Sometimes the dub really, and I love it because it totally takes it in a new direction. But sometimes the way the dub did the show made it feel like a totally different. Yeah. Now I'm gonna go watch. I'm gonna find the original dub. I'm gonna try to watch that shit.
Yeah, I'm gonna see if I can find it too. Yeah.
I'm so curious. But yeah. There's it's neat to see. There's also another dub thing. I was actually chatting with Jonathan about this the other day, where in the Japanese version, traditionally, Goku has actually always been portrayed as a type of character that is seeking strength and power over protecting the people in his life. He does both, but the reason why he always pursues battles is because he's just really excited to fight.
Yeah.
But in the old Ocean dub and then the early days of the Funimation dub, they made Goku seem way more heroic than he was in the Japanese version. Because one of the criticisms was that in the Japanese version, they were always like, no, Goku's... Because like US people are like so thrown off. They're like, Goku went from being this like super heroic person to now all he gives a shit about is about fighting.
Yeah.
But in the Japanese dub, he's always been that way. He was never I am the protector of the planet Earth. He never was that character in the original dub. And I'm just like, when I was I don't know how true this is because I haven't like religiously watched both cuts.
Yeah.
But if that's true, that means that the just simply translating something slightly differently could totally reshape how you watch a show and how you perceive a character.
I feel like a lot of times they also take liberties as well. Even with like, instead of directly translating it, like for the example of our Dragon Ball Z that we got to watch, how many episodes of like did we get, or just like
the amount of times that they cut to people's reactions during a fight instead of just showing us the fight.
Yeah. So like,
come on,
which makes it so much longer. Like that's the joke, I guess, if you watch the Kai uncut, like the cut now, by episode like 4, Vegeta's there with Nappa.
Yeah, it's so much faster.
And the original Toonami run, he was there by episode 25.
Oh yeah. You're not even kidding. It took a while.
Yeah, I mean not literally Vegeta, but like Raditz is there episode 2.
Yeah,
in Kai.
Yeah,
I believe. Like
I think Gohan right from the beginning. Yeah,
yeah, it's Gohan's kidnapped.
You know what's wild? Actually, now you mentioned that, I do recall the Japanese version of the original Dragon Ball Z being 291 episodes. Mm-hmm. And I remember watching Kai. I never watched the Majin Buu part of Kai, so I don't know how far the full series got. But at episode 100, the Cell games ended. And I was like, wait, hold on a minute. I still remember Frieza and shit during those parts of the story arc.
Just introducing Frieza.
I was like, wait,
first form. Like, you've wiped out the Ginyu Force. Frieza.
I think nowadays it'd be like, oh God, all this filler. But growing up, man, I just wanted more Dragon Ball. So I didn't care how much time it wasted or anything. I'm just like, that's fine. Scream all episode. I'll watch it.
The one thing that got me was they'd get to like the end of the Android saga. And then find out next week or next time on Dragon Ball Z. And then you come back next week and it'd be like Goku after his son Gohan, who's about to be kidnapped by Raditz in 19 episodes. Like, yo, you did not just take me back. Every single saga they ended on, they'd go right back to the beginning and then run it again.
Oh, I know. And then and it's not like you have Netflix where you can just pop on whatever episode you want.
No,
You're just like,
you stuck.
Wait, they were about to fight the Ginyu Force, or Goku just showed up and he took out Raccoon. Now he's about to fight Jeese and Birder. And now I got to watch the Saiyan saga again?
Yes, all over. From the every saga, not just that one. Or are we time?
No, I'm trying to see. This thing got really dim. Oh, yeah, it's at 5%. Can you see what the battery percentage is at?
20.
20?
Yeah.
Oh, damn. This one's draining quick. Dude, I'm going to continue talking with you.
Yeah.
But let's at least wrap the episode up.
Yeah.
Dude, guys, thank you so much for joining. I have no idea what this episode is going to look like once it's been posted, but we had a blast.
I did it. Thank you. I hope you guys have a blast watching. Thanks for having me on, man. I appreciate it.
Dude, it's been so much fun, man.
Yeah.
You covered so many topics.
Yeah.
And we talked about anime, how it shapes society, and then we talked a little bit about society, and we talked about acting. And one of these days I got to have you on where we could just dedicate the time to talking about your adventures in the world of Marvel. Because I feel like a lot of people, especially Marvel's still such a prevalent thing today.
Yeah.
I feel like people are going to want to hear your story.
I mean, I got killed in the show, but thanks to the multiverse, I'm technically still alive, which is
true.
Some way or some timeline. Maybe I got turned into a supervillain. Maybe, I don't know. You know,
get it together, Marvel. Right. Come on.
Love to be a supervillain for a little bit. Let's go. Multiverse.
Dude, where can people find you on social media?
Most of my handles at Dalon J Holland, so it's DALON J and then Holland, just like the country. I got a TikTok, which is mostly dedicated and sparsely updated to like anime, and will be more recently my D&D interest, and I'm DMing a wild kind of homebrew campaign.
Oh my god, we didn't even get to talk about that. Oh
yeah. Which kind of segues into the whole Dragon Ball thing, because there's a couple anime references in there.
Oh yeah. It's badass, guys. I got to sit in on a session and it was so much fun. It was so cool. I'm excited for the next that's this Sunday, right?
Yeah, we're running around this Sunday, and the party's going to grow a little bit, and I got some cool stuff planned. They don't know it yet, but I dropped in the Ginyu Force, and so they're going to like fight the Ginyu Force this upcoming week.
Oh, man. That's good. I'm posting this episode after the session anyway, so they're not going to know.
They're not going to know. They're getting the Ginyu. It's going to be a 3v, like a 3-way fight between 3 different groups, and
that's awesome.
They have a blast because every time, it's a good time. So.
That's fun, dude. And so, well, we don't have time to jump super deep into it, so we'll do it next. I was about to be like, dude, I want to know how you got into D&D. Like, did Dragon Ball come first? Did D&D come first? That's
definitely
a whole thing.
Dragon Ball. D&D is more recent, but I mean, hey, if you'll have me back, we can do it in part 2. We can
let's do a part 2.
I'm sure there'll be more campaign stories.
Once I get the hang of this, it'll also be way less chaotic to have conversations, because right now I've been drinking and I've been smoking, and the conversation's going that what's that show with Charlie Day? What's his Always Sunny in Philadelphia? The board with the conspiracy board that he had.
Yeah.
That's what my brain looks like when I start having fun with people.
I mean, hey, I feel like we've jumped around somewhat naturally, at least. It's the flow.
Yeah,
we're having a good time. So
you guys will enjoy the conversation. There's a little bit of everything in there. So
yeah, we actually bring it full circle. So we start with anime and Dragon Ball. We go through society and growing and entertainment, and then we come back to anime. And
damn right. Oh, and before I forget, I'm doing a ticket giveaway. So I don't know how I'm gonna do this. I'm still figuring it all out, but keep an eye on the social media for the AuthentiX Podcast, and I'm gonna be doing giveaways for 2 free tickets to go see Deadpool and Wolverine in IMAX.
Oh,
yeah. I can't promise that you're gonna get to see it opening weekend, because I'm getting these tickets kind of late, but you will get to see it in IMAX. So yeah.
I am definitely doing a Dolby showing. I can't wait.
I'm beyond stoked. Yeah. And this just died. So. All right. Perfect timing. Hey guys, thank you so much for making it to the end of the episode. I just want to give a huge shout out to Dalon J. Holland, the actor from Marvel's Cloak and Dagger, who joined me for this episode. Dude, it was so nice having you. I'm excited for part 2. For those of you guys who are tuning in, please go into the comment section and add any questions you might have for Dalon or any of my other upcoming guests. Please ask in the comment section. I will do my very best to address it during the discussion. You can find a list on the flow page. As far as the giveaway, I still haven't figured all of the kinks out with that, so it's not going to be a IMAX ticket. What it will, however, be is a $100 gift card to either AMC or whatever other movie theater is nearby where you are. The giveaway will begin sometime in August. The winners will be announced at the end of the month. Well, that's it. Thank you. Thank you again for making it to the end.
And I promise to be a little less annoying in the next episode. Thanks again for tuning in. AuthentiX Podcast. Zendar. I don't even know what I'm doing at this point. Can we just end it here?